How long are you there?
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Randall.
Here.
Greenway.
Here.
Mueller.
Here.
Joe.
Here.
Carter. Here. Moving on to D, quorum determination. We do have a quorum, so we will go on to item number 2, the approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Randall.
Yes.
Greenway.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Jill.
Yes.
Sarda. Yes. Item number 3 is approval of our minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes from the last school board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please. Mueller.
Yes.
Jill.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Greenway.
Yes.
Sarda. Yes. Okay, item number 4 is our conflict of interest. Now is the time to disclose any conflicts that are either direct or indirect. Hearing none, I'll move on to number 5, our consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to remove item F off the consent agenda, please.
Okay. With the exception of item F, can we have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve the consent agenda without item F.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please. Greenway.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Jill.
Yes.
Sarda. Yes. Okay, item number F is the school board election.
Regarding item F, I just want to make the statement that I will not be running for a fourth term on the school board. With that, I move we approve item F.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please. Randall.
Yes.
Greenway.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Jill.
Yes.
Sarda. Yes. Item number 6 is public comment. Was there anybody who had signed up for public comment for tonight? No, not tonight. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, good news and student achievements. Mr. Moores and Mrs. Riken.
Hello, good evening. So, thought back to the last couple of months at Webster School, and those are short months with all of the holidays, but we've been really busy and have had a lot of extra fun things planned. So many of these things happened at all of the elementary buildings. I just put a few up here. Parent-teacher conferences were in November. Those were our first round, and then we're already in a week and 2 weeks going to do that again at the elementary buildings. I think all of us celebrated American Education Week, so we make a big deal about that, celebrating public school and the chance to come to school every day. And then at Webster School, we have done this for several years. We call it Buddy Bingo, so our kids can all invite a parent to come in, and we've got, the neighborhood is cursing at us because there's so many cars, but we have hundreds come in and play Buddy Bingo with us. And then the script spelling bee, we've been doing that for several years. We do that with, we give our 3rd through 5th graders the opportunity to sign up. And we really make a big deal of it because it takes a lot of courage and bravery. They get up, we have it as a nighttime event after school. Their parents are invited to come in. It's totally quiet and silent, and they get up by the microphone and spell words. So we had about 20 participants, and then the top 3 go to the regional competition. At the end of November, we held our last preschool open house at Webster School. So we had a great turnout. We opened up registration December 1st, I think it was. This year it might have been the 2nd with the way the calendar fell. So that was our last hurrah. We kind of told parents, obviously we're not going to be here next year, but it still was a good chance for them to come in, ask questions, mingle with the teachers, and then we could we had some boards of parents looking at plans of Trailhead. And then we did Santa's workshop, which I think most of the elementaries do. It's a great chance for us to make all those Royal trading cheap Christmas decorations that parents probably don't like, but we filled the gym for that. Mount Marty football players come and helped. which is pretty sweet. They're great big bodies and hands, helping with all those little pieces and glue. The kids really like that. Webster School always does sack packing, so we always have a spot in December. So we did that again, and I think you probably know this, but sack packs are at an all-time high in Yankton, the number is, this year. And then we held our last talent show, and this also, when you talk about the script spelling bee, this also takes a lot of bravery and courage. We offer this to our 1st through 5th graders, and they can get up and showcase a talent in front of the whole student body. It's really heartwarming. They get up, they're so brave. They do anything from magic tricks to dances to singing to, we've had archery in the past, dog tricks they bring in. It's pretty neat. And then Mrs. Leader led us along in our holiday sing-along in the gym. And then a little emotional, but we've always, you know, our little logo or what we're known for are the owls, because we give a hoot about things. And so we have a Christmas tree that's been in our hallway for years and years that's full of owl decorations. And so we thought, what are we going to do with them? And so we let all of our kinder through 5th graders take one owl decoration as a memento, and they got to keep that at home. So that was pretty cool. Questions or comments?
What do you call the new school?
We're working on that. Since you asked. Dr. Kiggle and I just visited about that today. We'll get there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. As I was putting together this little report today, I thought to myself, I can't believe we're in the middle of January. We've only had one time where we had to do a little rescheduling, so I just tried to jinx this for the rest of the time. But on a normal school year, as you guys all know by now, we would have done a lot of rescheduling, so we've been fortunate from that standpoint. And I can't remember the last time on January 13th where it was more brown outside than white, so it's been an interesting year weather-wise. So. But my point about January 13th is it's really hard to believe that we are at and past the midway point for the majority of our winter sports already and our winter activities. So our gymnastics team literally only has a month of their season left. Their state event is on the 14th and 15th of February in Watertown. But before then, we have a triangular at home tomorrow. If you've never been to the River City Gymnastics and Cheer Center out in what used to be JCPenney's, I would recommend slipping in there to check that out. So they're there tomorrow with the triangular, like I said, with Harrisburg and Brookings. And then they're back there again on January 27th, and that's a duel with O'Gorman. So if you can slip out there and check that out, it's pretty interesting to see how compact it is, but yet it works really well for us. And then, ironically, we will have to do something that we haven't done yet before. So since we moved over to the River City Center for Gymnastics, we have never hosted ESD gymnastics because that circulates through us once every 8 years because 2 of the schools in ESD don't have gymnastics. So we get to host that on Saturday, February 1st. So on Friday, January 31st, Yankton School District Maintenance and a lot of other people are going to have to put their hands together to do a lot of moving, getting everything from River City over to Yankton High School and get that set up in the gym for Saturday. And then I've been in contact with Coach Olson, and he's got a lot of Mount Marty baseball players, football players, and parents to help bring it all back and get them Saturday after the event's over. So anyway, that'll be a big event for us, and we're thankful we have a lot of people to help us out with that. And just so you know, speaking of Coach Olson, he's the head coach, and I have Haley Bornhagen and Laura Stellick as assistants. The girls and boys basketball teams have played 8 and 7 games respectively, so their 20-game season is almost halfway over after this weekend. They will be at 9 and 10 games, which is the midway point for them. Blake Savvy's the girls' coach, and he's assisted by Kelly Hyder, Joe Muth, and Lauren Cease. And then on the boys' side, Chris Haynes is the head coach, and he's assisted by Jason Savvy, Brady Gale, and Sawyer Schmitz. And then really excited about what we have going on with wrestling tomorrow. If you haven't heard about it or seen it yet, we are going to have an event tomorrow at Yankton High School that starts at 4:30 with our middle school wrestlers dueling Bon Home. And then about an hour later at 5:30, all of our 5th graders and under who are involved with wrestling are going to be competing in the same place for the what they call the big boys and girls compete, and in our main gym for an hour. So we got lots of matches for them. And our JV kids will compete at 6:30, boys and girls, followed by our varsity kids at 7:30. And we're also going to squeeze wrestling parents' night in there also. So it should be a great night for the community of Yankton. If you are a wrestler in the community of Yankton, it's a great opportunity for those kids to make connections with everywhere from our youngest kids all the way up to our high school kids, and the same with our parents and just the community in general to come out and watch wrestling. So we encourage you to check that out if you have some time tomorrow as well. And then one thing we're doing differently in wrestling this year that we haven't done before, girls wrestling is really taking off in the state of South Dakota. So probably 3 or 4 years ago, wrestling actually became a separate sport for the girls and the guys, which definitely is a good thing because for girls wrestling guys just wasn't the way it should be. So now with girls and guys wrestling separate, we had a Yankton Wrestling Invitational every year in the first week of February. That was a boys event originally. And then we added a girls division to it the last several years. Well, it's gotten so big that this is the first year we're hosting back-to-back Yankton Wrestling Invitational. So we're gonna have a Friday, February 7th. We'll have a girls wrestling invitational that will start at 4 o'clock and probably run to close to 10 o'clock. And then everybody's gonna have to put their hands together to clean up, and we'll come right back and we'll do it all over again with the boys at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And then our youth group will go in there on Sunday, I believe that's Super Bowl Sunday, and they'll have their big tournament on the 9th. And then we'll do it one last time on Monday the 10th. Our middle school will have their wrestling invitational, so there'll be wrestling in that gym Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So if you like your wrestling, I'd get over and check that out those 4 days. It should be a lot of fun. And last but not least, our students who are involved in the one-act play, they've been preparing really hard for their state contest. It'll be held in Brookings on the campus of SDSU, and that's on Saturday, February 8th also. Our play this year is called A Midnight Summer's Dream, and Georgia Powell is our director, and Stacy Pikes is her assistant. And if you want to check that out, if you've never seen it, it is, so Monday, February 3rd at 7 o'clock in the high school main theater. They have 45 minutes from the word go to get everything out on the stage, set it up, perform the play, tear it all down and get back off the stage. Otherwise, when they go to their state contest, they are penalized for certain things like that. So to see how it all happens, it's different than showing up for the fall play, for example, where it's all set up, or the spring musical, it's all set up. So not only do you get to see the performance, you get to see them run out, set it up, perform, tear it down, get off the stage, and all less than 45 minutes. So a pretty cool thing. Questions for me?
Yes, that wrestling event on Sunday, it's a non-school event, right?
Correct. The youth wrestling is put on by our youth wrestling club, and it's a non-school event. You're exactly right. Yep. Good question. Anything else for me? All right, thanks.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to number 8. We'll be talking about the state library and some of the effects that could have on our district if the funding wasn't held at the same levels. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Becky Taff. Becky.
Only I knew that.
No. I knew that too. I've been in Purple for 7 years. But I've been at the high school library for 20 years, so I get my name confused. So I'm here tonight to talk about Governor Noem's proposed budget cuts, our budget for the 2026 year. Currently, her proposed budget cut for the state library is just over $1 million. Doesn't seem like a huge deal, but that's tied to federal money that we get from that they get from the Institute of Museums and Library Services, which is an additional $1.4 million. So with her cut, it's over $2.4 million to their budget. Mary Pat Barley is here, and I went to the public library meeting last Wednesday, and she had the former CFO of USD run some numbers, and just some numbers here for you guys. That is 0.03% of the whole state budget, that cut. But for the state library, that budget is 64% cut. And just another tidbit, North Dakota, they're proposing a 14.7% increase to their state library budget. So just a little bit back there, how that affects us. If you talk to some people, they think the state library doesn't even exist anymore, which in the last 20 years, the state library has been downsized. The McKay building out in Pierre, which is a three-floor building, most of you guys know holds Department of Ed. Originally, that was the state library, all 3 floors. They have taken the state library down to 1 floor. So they have cut this down. So how that affects us here, a couple different ways. That budget cut will cut 12.5 full-time librarians at the state library, which means they are cutting services, which include reference, government, digitization, and library outreach. That library outreach affects us. That's where our state library, Scotty Branch, works. She will be eliminated. She is our liaison between the state library and school libraries. She helps us do things, gets things organized, keeps our school libraries organized. It also is the education. Kathleen Ferguson is here. She has gone out to Peer numerous times for library boot camp, where she gets her education for library. We've had other librarians go out there. The public library has librarians have gone out there for boot camp. That will be eliminated. Interlibrary loan. That's a huge part of what we do. We share at the high school, we share our collection with anybody in the state. If anybody wants a book from our library that our students aren't using, I will send to them. Coming this spring, the juniors in the American Lit class will be doing a big research project. Their teachers require a book source. I can't have all sources in my library, so I get books from all over. That will be cut in a couple different ways. There's a courier system where I can take our books and send them to Watertown, no cost. I have to take them down to the public library. Actually, I don't. Mr. Greenaway takes them down to the public library, and they magically get up to Watertown. That service probably will be cut. Another part of the interlibrary loan that will be cut is South Dakota Share It. It is the universal catalog for the state library. So you can go to South Dakota Share It and search any library in the state, and they'll tell you who has it, where it's at, and we can order from there. Because that's a service that could be cut. So if I want to order books from anywhere in the state, I will have to manually search all the libraries to find that. Another thing that will be affected with the cut, databases. The state library provides 59 databases for anybody in South Dakota to use. In our district, we use about 19 of them. The Department of Ed has agreed that they will keep one database, which is ProQuest, which is like my second favorite database for us to use, which is great. It's better than nothing, but will still be hit. Elementaries use World Book Encyclopedia. There's 7 sections of World Book that they'll do research on instead of going to Google Q's. At the high school, we use Academic Search Premier, Explorer Team, Explorer Public Library, Points of View, ProQuest, SIRS, ebook collection, Gale ebook collection. Gale ebook collection is a collection of reference books. To buy a reference book, it's at least $200 with Gale virtual reference. We get it free. Multiple kids can use it. After COVID, Schwank, which is a database of movies. And we had, the school district kind of had merged to that. It was a program that the state library brought in where teachers can go to Schwank, find pretty much any movie that they would need for their classroom, educational purposes, and just stream it live. That will be gone at the high school. One way that'll affect us big at the high school, we have no DVD players at the high school anymore. We stream everything. So we'd have to do some modification there. There's just a ton. So out of those 19 databases that we use, we would only have to make up for 18 of them. Roughly, a database costs about $1,500. So times that by 18, it would be $27,000 if we wanted to maintain what we use in databases. The public library is over $88,000 for what they would lose with their databases. Our students, each student at the high school uses a database. When they're freshmen, we do a week-long lesson on the databases, where to find authoritative information, besides going to Google, find a magazine, find a journal, something. We use them all the time at the high school. Elementaries use them. And I'm just gonna wrap up here. Do you guys have any questions for me on this?
The dollar amount that you said with the 20,000 and the 88 for the public, that's annually?
Yes, that is annually that we would have to pay. And I have talked to Mr. Frederickson about this, just to have a heads up that it might be coming down the pipe, that we need to look at this. Research is no longer, everybody except Mr. Shield, because I know for sure you had databases. And I don't know about you, Mrs. Wheeler. But it's no longer looking in a Reader's Guide periodical index, pulling out an old magazine, and getting it to you. They go online, they go in the databases, type in their topic. Thousands and thousands of articles come out on these topics that have been published in magazines, journals, podcasts, newspapers, everywhere. If we wanted to go back to that, we used to have a collection where we used to keep all of our magazines forever. We stopped doing that in 2008. So it's a huge hit. So I will leave you guys with this just quickly. Mr. Mike Stevens was at the public library when they presented. Both him and Mrs. Nelson were concerned about this, but neither one of them are on the appropriations committee. It's coming out of the appropriations committee, so he suggested, and I'm gonna kind of rephrase him, email people on the appropriations committee, because they're the ones that are gonna do it. If it gets to the floor of the Senate, the floor of the House, they can't strike that $1 million disclosure. It has to be done before it gets out of committee. So I did, if you guys would like, I did make a list of the committees on the House of Representatives and the Senate who are on the committees. If you can tell them your story, tell them how it's gonna affect Yankton School District, so they have a heads up on it. I know Mr. Mike Stevens and Mrs. Nelson had said between the state library and PBS's cuts are the most emails they've received ever.
I want to piggyback on that. What I'm about to say is my opinion only, not shared by the board. But I want to say that you mentioned the PBS cut, I believe it's 65%. And one of the first steps that totalitarian government makes is to control public access information. And this is exactly what's going on here, I think.
Mrs. Rio, these are appropriation committee members.
Mhm.
Yep.
And their email addresses.
Yep, thank you.
That's a good point you made too, with stories. I think that goes a long way with,
Oh, yeah.
you know, just canned responses or copy and paste. If you have a specific story or somehow it, you know, affected you personally or someone, you know, that's very helpful.
And that's what Mr. Stevens said. He said those canned responses that major organizations send out, they delete those. They want the personal story and know how this is gonna affect the Yankton School District. It'll affect our freshman speech. It'll affect our sophomores that do a refresher. Our juniors, there's a database we have called Learning Express, which is a database of standardized tests. There's ACT prep out there where there are 6 full ACT prep tests that you can take, time, non-time, they give you the responses. In addition to that, there's another 6 for each of the subtests.
Well, I want to add this too. If a representative or senator sees the Yankton return address, they won't care about it. What they care about is people from their own district. And so it's important that you find people you know in those districts that you represent to contact their legislator, because otherwise they don't care about our vote.
Thank you. It's always helpful to have the most information, that's for sure. Is there any other questions that we have? Okay.
Mary Pat.
Okay, any other question?
I don't have a question, I would just offer, I'm Mary Pat Byerly, Yankton resident. I'm here as a member of the Yankton Community Libraries Board of Trustees. And we invited all 3 District 18 legislators to last week's public meeting.
Excuse me, Mary Pat, would you mind moving to the podium,
Sure.
please?
I thought I was loud enough. Thanks. Mary Pat Byerly with the Yankton Community Libraries Board of Trustees. We invited all 3 District 18 legislators. Nelson and Stevens did attend. Mike is very strongly against this particular cut. And I believe Lauren was she started out by saying, I'm a teacher, I love libraries. So there was a predisposition to listening. But I would say that Mike's advice about the appropriators is essential. I've got one appropriator who is a former student of mine, and he will hear from me. But also there are Legislative Research Council kids, young people, who will probably be staffing the appropriators on this. And if you would like those names, let me know. Again, you can say Mary Pat sent me because they were students of mine at the U. It is essential that we understand this is not about conservative budgeting. The dollars are minuscule. It's a policy decision. And I think you see that elsewhere in your agenda. So if there's anything that the community library can do, partnering with the school board, please let me know.
Thank you. Okay, shifting gears, we have our last Trailhead Center Learning Update.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike, appreciate it.
All right, yeah, so last, you have the January one pulled up? That I just sent to you?
That was one I thought we pulled up.
I just checked before and I sent you the January one.
Do you? That's one we have.
If not, I can always do it without you.
This is January.
That one,
There we go.
perfect. Oh, sorry. All right, guys, as you were saying, yeah, this is our last one, so it's kind of crazy. It's coming full circle right now for us to get so close to being, complete with the trailhead or center. So it's been awesome. You guys have been great to work with. We really appreciate everything. So. Please. So just, that's our team members, we've gone over that before, but Coke Hazard, they're our main architects. We'll joint venture with them on the design portion. We're of course McGough, general contractor, who's overseeing all the subcontractors, just managing that from all sides of it. So Brent Osler is here today. He's site superintendent. If you don't know him, I'm Mark Sante, project manager. We also have a project engineer on site who kind of helps with a lot of the document management back and forth for us. He's not with us today, but he's also full-time with us on site. So. Here's our list of subcontractors. Currently, we have anywhere from 8 to 12, just depending on needs. But overall, we have accumulated 35 contractors on this school project. So it's been a lot of coordination efforts on our end to make sure everyone's coming in and out at the right times. So just to give a little bit more of a project progress and what we have up and coming. So we are getting close to being complete here with your school, and a lot of that really involves right now is our finishes with kind of your cafeteria and like main office conference room areas. So we're actually really close to getting fully equipped to getting flooring down everywhere. We have some paint touch-ups left over. And then on like the mechanical side of things, this week actually we're really pushing hard to get a lot of our mechanical equipment started up. So heat's running and operational, right? Air is just in the building circulating. It's just, we're no longer in the need of having like temporary heat. It's just all self-running itself. So we're getting really close with that. Food service equipment, that we're planning to have that start up next week. So essentially what that means, it's basically operational with the exception of probably just some punch list items that we'll have in the next week and a half, which, what that amounts to is, it'll be ourselves, the design team, so Coke Hazard will, the school, you guys as the owner, to kind of come together on site, walk through each areas, and just mark up anything that's just, incorrect or needs to be reviewed again, addressed again. So, and then it also involves kind of the final closeout with us just giving you guys the keys, literally. So that there'll be training involved with equipment. So here's some project photos. This is the main area. It's kind of my favorite, honestly, just with the canopy, which the left entrance goes right into the preschool, and then the right side goes right into what's called Area A, which is the main conference room office area. Just kind of how do you want to call it? Media. Yeah, media commons. So these pictures are examples of what the classroom wings look like. They are finished right now. So that is, it's a lot of unique teardrops and different floor transitions, and it's very neat. It's exciting for us to be part of and putting this all together. This is the main entrance, as I was talking about with the media, or with how Brent mentioned Media Commons.
That's a great side-by-side picture.
But I did want to put these side by side, because the picture on the right is actually what we had as a concept early on. And what you see on the left is actual. So, I mean, it's just, that's where we're at, where we've really put together this life of the project you guys, you know, wanted early on. So it's really cool to start seeing that fully develop. The far left picture, that's on the back side of the Media Commons, which goes into both classrooms of areas B and C wings. The middle, those are both actually in the media center commons area too. So, kind of already mentioned it, but as far as contacts, myself, Brent, you know, within the points of contact. So, if you want to mention your
Brett Osler, for those who don't know me. I've been the superintendent on this project on site for the last 18 and a half months. As most of you guys know, I know the whole board, all the board members know, but some of the general public. My wife and I are moving back home. We're moving back to Washington State. My grandkids summoned me home, so, you know, when they summon me home, it's like, you know, when a 4-year-old hands you a toy phone, you better answer it, right? So yeah, we're excited we're moving back home. I just want to take this minute to let everyone know that I've enjoyed working with every single one of you, getting to meet members of the community, interacting with them, you know, just even stopping at Casey's, you know, people see my truck, they're like, hey, you're working on that school, right? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And just, you know, just the excitement for this community to have this brand new school for them. You know, I take that to heart. You know, I'm glad I've been part of this project. So I just want to thank you all.
Brent, I want to say too, from a personal standpoint, you and Mark and Matt and all the rest of them did a fabulous job with this. I am so happy we chose you all as our construction managers, and it's not only you build a school, but you also build relationships. And that's what's so important about this whole thing. And you guys have done everything you said you're going to do. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Any questions for us? Please.
Go away.
All right. All right, thank you everyone.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to thank the board members that have spent their time so much on that. Appreciate your involvement in that as we come to fruition on this amazing project. Thank you. Okay, item number 10, we're going to do a presentation, our technology spotlight. Tiffany Bessie will be here. Speak about computer science education.
Oh, let's see if I can figure out how to present this, huh? Different. All right, so I am Tiffany Bessie, and I am the district technology integrationist. I took over for Allie Davison after she resigned last year. That's just a real quick list of some of the things that I've had the opportunity to do here in the first semester of school. Most of my day consists of either going into classrooms and helping teachers or students do whatever it is the teachers are trying to have them do, or possibly, you know, troubleshooting some things, if it's like Promethean board stuff with teachers so that the technology is working the way that they want it to be working. Creating choice boards for teachers to use with their kids, especially around holiday times when we're not going to be having school. Just a way for the kids to kind of recognize why it is they might be getting a day off of school and how they can celebrate it in the classrooms. But the big thing that I want to focus on today is Computer Science Education Week, which was December 9th through the 13th. And we decided to celebrate that with our 4th and 5th graders by just simply doing some coding activities. I always felt like when I was teaching, if the kids were incredibly engaged and every once in a while you'd hear a yes, that you knew you had done something pretty good in the classroom, and that was a really fun week to get out into the classroom and do that with the kids. I don't know if you've ever done any coding, but it can be really challenging, and they have to problem solve and kind of troubleshoot some things on their own. And when they do figure it out, they're pretty excited with themselves. And so that was fun for me to be out in the classrooms working directly with the kids again, but also to do something that kept their attention and they were able to see some success with. And the really great part about coding is, like I said, when you code things, you tend to do it wrong a lot. And so that sticking to it and problem solving where you went wrong and finally being able to figure out and then getting it right is really fun for these kids to be able to see that actually happen. So we did a few different sites. The first one was just code.org. And what I really like about the first two I'm going to show you here is that kids just put blocks of code together. That code is given to them. But on both of these first two sites, it actually shows the kids how the code would be written if they were starting from scratch doing it. And then we talk a lot with the kids about, what sort of professions would use coding in their day-to-day. And the kids get really excited when they find out that coders create video games. So then they think that they could probably consider this as one of their future careers. But again, here's just an example of the kids figuring out how to get this little guy to its destination. They pull the right codes over and put them in the right order, they run it, and then when they do get it right, it shows them what it would look like if they were actually to type it out on their own. And then that's just another example, but the one they really do enjoy the most, and it happens to coincide well with Christmas, is the Grinch Hour of Code. And it has nice fun music and animations that go with it, but ultimately they get their little drone here to pick up gifts, and it gets more and more challenging as they go, and they continue to put their blocks of code together to accomplish their task or their mission. So that was really fun to get out into the classrooms and do that with the kids, and once some of the other teachers heard that we were doing it at the other levels, they were like, will you come do coding with us too? So Computer Science Education Week just kind of continues, and we move forward with that. So do you guys have any questions as far as any of the other things that have been going on or Computer Science Education Week?
I don't have a question, I can just tell you my children both enjoyed it very much.
They really did, like it was, the kids were so engaged with it, which is always fun to see, and then the excitement of when they figured it out was pretty fun.
My oldest came home and told me she knew how to code
You know how to code,
now.
absolutely,
So,
yeah, you got it figured
It's
out.
sticking.
Good, glad to hear that,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right. Now for a little housekeeping, item number 11, we're going to talk about our course catalogs.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me up tonight. Each year we have our course catalog presented where you come as a board and approve this with any changes that we have made. So tonight we bring this forward. We do not have a lot of changes, more of some dates, and we align with our course numbers with the state, with what that looks like from the state course catalog, and then always updating our language. The one thing that we as a district do very, very well with is with our curriculum committees and the things that we have when we implement the curriculum, we have our courses and our standards aligned where we pull this right out and put this in within our course catalog, and it works very, very well together. The course catalog, with why we need this in place, we need this as we are starting up with the registration process for the 25-26 school year. And our students have all had a meeting here as we've come back after Christmas, and we've talked a little bit about that process and what that looks like. And from now until the end of February, our students will be signing up for their classes for next fall and the following semester after that as well. So tonight we ask for your approval of the changes that we have presented, and what we will do is our counselors, our department heads, our teachers, we will get working and continuing with the registration process. Any questions?
I'm not hearing any, so.
I move we approve do separate motions,
Yeah.
right? Move we approve the high school course catalog.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Crandall,
Yes.
Greenway,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schill,
Yes.
Tardif.
Yes. Okay, now we'll be hearing about our middle school.
Yes, good evening, everyone. While you look over the big change of the date, because that's the only thing that actually need, I do have one big announcement for, if you ever go to our Veterans Day ceremony, you heard that Rosalind Adamson had won the Patriot Pen. She won also for our local level, our district level, and today she was announced the state level winner. So congratulations to her. So as you're deciding if you have any questions over the date change, I just want to make sure to announce that because I thought that was pretty cool for her. But anyway, we did a lot of changes last year with the different courses and name changes, and so everything's status quo for next year. So we're looking forward to getting the kids signed up in the next couple of weeks. Wonderful.
A motion to approve the 2025-26 Yankton Middle School course catalog.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mueller,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Greenway,
Yes.
Shield,
Yes.
Sparta.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item number 12, we're gonna hear a little bit about our Trailhead Learning Center next steps.
Okay, so, I think having this second from Mark and Brent is perfect because I think, one thing that we've seen is the building. We've seen it progress, especially the outside, those of us that have been involved, the inside, and how much work has been involved there. But equally, we would just tell you that the amount of work that's been done internally to prepare for our move and to get staff ready and students ready and families ready has been unbelievable. Probably something we never imagined in a good way, but we've really, really been busy. So Dr. Pindle and I sat down and we just kind of looked maybe at about a year from last May through this summer, just to kind of give you a little snippet of what we've been busy doing. So, do I have a? I think we can go to. No.
You just click on this next picture.
Okay.
That work.
That's just fine. Okay, so thinking back to May and last summer, you have all heard about Dr. Dillon that we've had helping consult us. So he was on site in May, did an on-site PD in person with all of our TLC staff, basically about learning spaces. So everybody knows that this is a bit of a different environment and style than we're used to. So he's getting us acquainted with that. We also, this was the first time that we took our staff for tours. The staff will be at TLC. And then in June and July, we did an online book study with him that was really received well from staff. I mean, the comments we got from that, everyone from the specials, to the teachers, we all, myself included, we loved it. Talked about flexible learning spaces, furniture, norms, inclusivity, communication. Talked about clutter and not just furniture clutter, but visual clutter in rooms. And those of us that were trained 20, 30 years ago, that's what we did. We decorated to make things look pretty, but now talking about how visually distracting that is to students and the importance of perhaps not doing that. Even talked about colors, sounds, and lighting, which just goes right along with the theme of our building. Everything just meshes, so that was an exciting time with him. If there's one thing we could say about this process is that we've had committees and committees and committees. And we had another one this fall. We had a playground committee that was made up of parents. Dr. Shield was our school board member on it. Pam Fetters was our physical therapist. And then we had our early childhood SPED teachers and our early childhood regular ed classroom teachers. And those are actual pictures of what our playground, I know they're not real close, but what our playground will look like. So if you drive by now, you would see it all fenced in on the, I don't know, I guess it's kind of on the southeast side. It's fenced in a big rectangular area, kind of right off of the parking lot. So that's where it will be. Just another view of it, but we're really proud of the colors. We're proud of the options. It's just made for our little people, our 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds who will be on it. It'll be all fenced in. They'll come and install it in the spring. We'll be one of their first customers for installing, or basically when it's ready after the frost leaves. It's all ADA, most of it is all ADA accessible. We've got swings, slides, we have a little loft, we have tunnels, we have a sensory wall, we have a little, I guess, modern merry-go-round, we have hopping things, climbing things, you name it, a little rock wall. If you've driven by, I think probably some of the most comments I've gotten are from the little basketball hoops. So on the blacktop, we have hopscotch, foursquare, and the cutest little basketball hoops you've ever seen. So 2 of those are 6 foot and 2 of those are 7 foot. And then this fall, Dr. Dillon was back on site, met with our staff again one full evening in addition to being in the district, in different schools. Yeah, we just talked about space design, trends, learning through play, and kind of what our plan is. We also mailed a letter to all of our current kinder through 4th graders at Webster, notifying parents that their children would be attending Stewart School next year. We've been very open and transparent about that, but just a personal, this is where your child will be going, and then we also had instructions in there if they would desire to open enroll with the date and the process of that. And then as I mentioned earlier, we had our last preschool open house at Webster. The online registration, as of right now, we're looking at higher numbers than we've had really ever at this point of the year, so that will be interesting to see where it ends. And then we gave those parents information about Trailhead.
Ms. Franken, on the open enrollment, just to clarify, that's within the district.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we do have, for example, a family that lives 2 blocks from Beagle School, but they are in Webster's Attendance Center. So, you know, that parent, she has visited with me, may decide to open enroll the Beagle because he would just be able to walk there, obviously. So those, otherwise, Dr. Kindle and I have talked and we heard nothing. Nothing, not good nor bad, so usually that's a good thing if you don't hear much. That was really the only question I had from a parent. So that brings us right here and now. All of our furniture was delivered last Monday. It's all sitting in 2 of the houses out there. We call the wings the houses. The building, as you heard the guys say, we're hoping the completion to be the end of this month. And then the furniture crew will come back the last week of January, first week in February. They'll bring a crew in and they will take everything out of the boxes, assemble everything, and move it to the spots where it should be. And then our architects actually come on site and they inspect every single piece of furniture. Make sure every caster is right, there's no scratches, there's no dents. So they come on site to do that for us. And then Nicole and I have really been busy with our staff inventorying everything. So the staff moving to TLC, just figuring out, because imagine we've got 9 kindergarten teachers, we don't need 9 of everything, bless you. So just figuring out what we have and what we're going to be moving. And then looking at the end of the month, we're going to have an in-service with Trailhead staff. Wade Coveney is going to be here to do a personality test. We're bringing a lot of people together, right? From 4 different buildings, so we're going to start with that. And then our friends from North Star, which is one of the schools we visited in Minnesota originally, are going to be back on site with us just to kind of talk about norms since they've been through this process. And then looking ahead in February, we're going to have on-site registration for junior K and kindergarten. We're going to use that east entrance to use the gym area. So that's as far as we'll take them, but parents will be able to come in and register. After that, we will be taking our Trailhead staff through the entire building, which will be all furnished and completed, along with having dinner. And then the 4 elementary buildings, we're going to begin planning schedules. So we just have to, we've got a lot of changes, especially with those specials, music PE, those travelers, to figure out if we need to tweak some things, move, schedules around a bit. And then in March, at an in-service, we plan to take the entire preschool through 12th grade staff through the building for them to see. And then Dr. Dillon will be back on site. And then in April, this is the big one, right, that we've been talking about. This is our plan for our dedication ceremony, Thursday, April 24th at 9:30. And then we are going to work out a schedule for tours for the community to come through. We think we're going to run those every 30 minutes. And then we will also have on-site junior kindergarten and kindergarten screening which we typically have at the high school, but why not have it there now that we have the facility that's big enough? So we'll do that at the end of April, beginning of May. And then for May, so we've got to have a plan for moving, right? And we think we have this all planned out. We've got shifts. We need to move Webster 1st through 5th to Stewart. We need to move Webster preschool, junior, Payne, kinder to Trailhead. Stewart preschool sped to Trailhead. District-wide kindergarten to Trailhead. And we kind of have that mapped out with some of those, the last week-ish of school and some of those in-service days. We're going to use some of our staff to help. Coach Muth has been good about saying he'll have football players help us move some things. So that's our plan there. And then we'll have our annual open house just like we always do. That's the Thursday, I think, before Riverboat Days. And then our parent teacher orientation meetings at the beginning of August before school starts. That's a lot. What do you have questions on?
One question I've got, Dr. Mrs. Riken, is
I'll take doctor.
is there's going to be some emotional stuff happening with this transition. Not just leaving the building, but leaving relationships, collegiality. This will be true across the district court because the kindergarten teachers will be moving to Trailhead too, and they've established relationships within their own buildings. And the Webster crew, I know, is very tight, and they've established their relationships. And I'm sure they've been working through this since this whole thing came about. But I'm wondering, is there anything that you're thinking about doing as far as special for those people that are going through this transition?
So we've been doing quite a bit with Stewart and Webster to prepare for that merge. Starting last year, we started combining all of our MTSS meetings with them, which are monthly meetings. So we feel good about that. And Mr. Lucas and I also are doing some joint assemblies with our kids. So we've been real cognizant too about making sure that Webster kids are going to feel comfortable there. So I think we've got 2 assemblies set up and we might be doing 1 more. In addition, they're going to invite us to, for example, their bingo night that's coming up, their spring carnival, things like that. And we're going to do a lunch together in the spring as well to help the students. And then they've been good about inviting us to their social gatherings, staff, when they've had them. So we're doing that as well. You know, really, there's only 5 teachers from Webster going to Stewart, so the majority affected are the students. And then I think all of the staff that are going to Trailhead, as far as getting them involved and acquainted with each other, that speaks for itself with all the kind of an enormous amount of PD with them together.
Well, it's very exciting. Thank you, and thank you for everything that you've done. Is there any other questions? Okay. Okay, then we're going to move on to item number 13, our school voucher funding. Dr. Kendall has some comments.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take some time here, and I wanted to address our parents and our grandparents in our community, because what we're about to talk about here is a big deal. And so I'm gonna talk about the impact of vouchers, and talk about school funding a little bit, and then the board will have an opportunity to talk about what's being proposed tonight and have a discussion. So to our parents, grandparents, and community members, the $4 million education savings account, which is also called the ESA, proposed in our governor's budget, is also being referred to by proponents as a school choice bill. It is in fact a school voucher bill with the proposed $4 million price tag as a start. This doesn't in fact affect public school funds and the education of our children and your grandchildren in the Yankton School District. You heard tonight about the library budget cut to the state budget that will affect your children and grandchildren here in the Yankton School District. There was also a proposal to cut the TANF program, which is temporary assistance for needy families, which includes child care, transportation, work-related expenses, medical, etc. for children. This also affects our children and our grandchildren in the Yankton School District. Parents in the Yankton School District and across South Dakota may educate their children and grandchildren as they see fit through school choice. Again, parents currently do have school choice in their child's education, and they can do any of the following. You can attend your local public school, you can open enroll to another public school, you can choose private education, you can homeschool kids, you can do online learning. Parents have 5 school choices for their child's education. Private schools have the availability and the access to the South Dakota Partners in Education program, which is exclusive to private schools. Individuals or businesses may choose to donate to the Partners in Education program to fund student scholarships. For a matter of fact, insurance companies are the only industry to receive a tax credit for contributions to the South Dakota Partners in Education program. An insurance company can receive a state premium tax credit up to 100% deductible. The program's total tax contributions allowed by law are subject to the annual tax credit limit of $5 million. Again, this is exclusive to students attending a private school. It's an opportunity for those parents who choose to send their kids to a private school. They can. Right now, there's law, there's an opportunity for those students to get scholarships and those kinds of things through this fund. Parents who have children enrolled in the Yankton School District should and need to be very concerned about any school voucher program, any bill, and any funding associated with such a bill. School vouchers and funding of these school vouchers will impact your children and grandchildren in the Yankton School District. In my 35 years in public education and as a superintendent of the Yankton School District, you have entrusted me to lead this incredible school district and to provide guidance to protect and enhance the education of your children and grandchildren attending the Yankton School District. I am telling you, school vouchers and school voucher funding with public tax money will negatively affect your children and your grandchildren in the Yankton School District. Public school parents and grandparents and community members in the Yankton School District, you need to take a stand on this and protect your children's education as well as its funding. Please trust me on this. My vested interest is for all of our kids in the Yankton School District. I have 11 grandkids enrolled in the public school. This is a fight that I'm willing to fight and to lead for our kids in the Yankton School District. I would encourage all of our parents, grandparents, and community members, and our educators in this school district to reach out to your legislators. This is a huge deal, and we can't ignore it. We can't sit back and not say anything. We need to address this because it's one of the most important things I feel in my 35 years in public education that we've been faced with. And I want to end my comments with this. This is a former Yankton High School graduate. There is a place in America to take a stand. It is public education. It is the underpinning of our culture and political system. It is the great common ground. Public education, after all, is the engine that moves us as a society toward a common destiny. It is in public education that the American dream begins to take shape. Tom Brokaw. And I'll end my comments there and take any questions.
I just have one question. Do we know how much money is in that scholarship fund at this time?
I do not. Kathy, have you not?
Is that public?
I believe it's public information. There is a really good website that anybody can access. And if you Google the website, you can access it. They have a lot of information on there. And perhaps on there it would give a dollar amount that's available. But I do not know for sure.
Because the insurance companies can do that annually, correct? I mean, to make that contribution and get that credit.
Yes, that's correct. With a $5 million cap, is my understanding from reading the website.
Kathy, what I can say is that I know about this is that the amount of money is significant.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was public, because I thought originally when they had started that, to be able to fund into it, you couldn't know who did it, and you couldn't know what was in it.
It's channeled to the state, right? The money goes, the insurance companies give the money to the state. The state allows it to be a tax credit, so therefore it must be, of course, in this state, you can never be sure what exactly becomes public knowledge, what doesn't become public knowledge, but it should be public knowledge.
I appreciate your words and your stance on this, because I do think this is a very important issue, and to me, this is not a public-private issue at all. It really is an accountability issue, and that is what is probably one of the most concerning to me, is it's not just the money that could possibly be put into our public schools that we rely on. It's really the idea that there is absolutely no transparency or no accountability for this money. That the money would go directly to the parents with no strings attached. And I think that we have to believe in our education system, and that we have to be accountable, and just money in general from the taxpayers. I know it's important as us as elected officials that we're accountable for that. We're accountable to the taxpayers and accountable to the entire community for that money. So that really worries me. The other thing I would just make a comment why I think it's important that we at least educate the public is because the way it's being presented is very benign. It's being presented as a school choice. Well, who doesn't want school choices, and who doesn't want choices as parents for our children? But what it absolutely is a school voucher program. And I think what's important is if you do research in each state that's left it up to the people, it's always consistently failed. Because just generally, the average person doesn't always get what's behind it. So anyway, I appreciate what, you taking a stand. I think it's important to take a stand. We didn't want it to be a cookie cutter. We didn't want to include everything in there because we don't want to be adversarial in any way. But we do want to be, as a board chair, it's important that we educate. And to me, that's the biggest issue here. Any other comments? All right, thank you. All right, finally, we're going to move on to our adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, we're going back, because this is this is an action item, that we are going to, just voice our opinion for this. My apologies for that. Okay, so this is an action item, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt a resolution regarding school vouchers and funding mechanisms related to school vouchers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mueller? Yes.
Crandall?
Yes.
Greenway?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Sarda?
Yes. Motion passes. Now moving on to adjournment. Have a motion for adjournment?
We filed motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call please.
Greenway?
Yes.
Mueller?
Yes.
Crandall?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Sarda?
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.